In the hot morning, Joseph Ndlovu and Elias Makona's small wooden boat slowly glided across the vast Kruger Lake. The sun shone brightly, the hot wind swept across, the quiet space was filled with only the rhythmic sound of oars splashing water. Suddenly, an unusual sound rang out in the middle of the lake, causing both rangers to immediately turn their heads in alertness. Before their eyes, a lioness was struggling weakly in the deep, murky water. It tried to keep its head above water, but every movement showed that its strength was almost exhausted. Its eyes were wide open, its breathing was rapid, each stroke only helped it survive for a few more fragile seconds. Terrifyingly, behind it, a giant black shadow was gliding towards it. It was a predatory crocodile. The crocodile's tail thrashed violently, creating fierce waves, gradually approaching the desperate lioness in front. A hoarse roar erupted from the lion's throat, like a cry for help echoing across the deadly lake. It tried to swim faster, but the heavy water seemed to swallow every last breath. Joseph tightened his grip on the oars, his heart pounding, realizing that they only had a few moments to act. Elias lowered his voice, signaling that they had to approach immediately, or the lion would die at the hands of the brutal predator. The small wooden boat shook as the two began to row vigorously towards the lion. The boat rushed closer. Joseph reached out and threw the long rope he had prepared, throwing it straight towards the struggling lion. The rope fell close by. The lion struggled, its claws grabbing, as if clinging to the last fragile hope of survival. Elias rowed with all his might, bringing the boat closer, while Joseph held the rope tightly so it wouldn't slip away. The crocodile rushed forward, its mouth wide open, the waves crashing heavily, causing the small boat to rock violently. Elias shouted loudly, using the oar to strike the water surface right in front of the aggressive crocodile's snout that was approaching. Surprised by the blow, the crocodile stopped, twisted its body, then vigorously swung its tail and dived deep into the murky water. That precious moment helped Joseph and Elias pull the lion closer, their sinewy arms stretched as if about to break. The lioness groaned softly, her whole body was soaked heavily, her claws scratching the wooden planks in despair. Both of them used all their strength, shouting to pull her up, each heavy centimeter passing by like a lifetime. Water from its body poured onto the boat floor, creating a pale red stream mixed with fresh blood. Joseph quickly covered the rough blanket he had brought with him, wrapping it around the lion's body, keeping it warm to prevent hypothermia. Elias used a small knife to cut the cloth shirt, tearing it into temporary bandages to cover the most bleeding wounds. They used their hands to wipe the mud off their faces, gently squeezing their jaws to let the water flow out of their mouths. Its rapid breathing gradually stabilized, but its eyes were still dull, as if it had not yet escaped from a nightmare. Joseph whispered, "It's still alive, Elias, we can't let it die on our hands." Elias nodded, continuing to wrap a few more rounds of cloth around its waist to stop the bleeding. The lion stirred slightly, its heavy head lifted up a bit before falling back down onto the boat carpet. Sweat rolled down both rangers' foreheads, but their eyes shone with iron determination. Elias quickly took a dry towel and wrapped it around its legs to immobilize the injured part of its body. Joseph continued to gently press on its chest, trying to help its breathing become more regular. The boat rocked, but Elias did not stop rowing, pointing the boat towards the ranger station. The lion was still lying still, its small moans mixed with its weak breathing but not yet stopped. Joseph placed his hand on its forehead, feeling the remaining warmth, his belief in survival rising strongly. The wind blew, the waves crashed, the boat rocked, but their determination was stronger than all the harsh nature. They knew clearly, this life-and-death battle would not end until they brought it safely to the rescue station. When the boat docked, the entire team of rangers at Kruger were waiting, quickly taking the lion to the emergency veterinary room. Veterinarian Amelia Brooks appeared, ordering an immediate 4 to save the animal from shock and exhaustion. It was placed on a steel table, its body trembling, its eyes still closed after its struggle for life. The doctors examined the entire wound, discovering many lacerations on its shoulder, ribs, and abdomen that needed immediate stitches. A doctor injected strong antibiotics, preventing the risk of infection from dirty water and bacteria in the lake. The nurse inserted a small oxygen tube, helping its breathing to be more even, avoiding the risk of sudden respiratory failure. The small wound was cleaned, disinfected, and covered with pure white gauze. The room was quiet, only the sound of the heart monitor and weak breathing could be heard. Joseph and Elias stood outside the door, looking through the glass, their hearts still tense. After a few hours, the golden eyes opened slightly, looking tired but full of life. It moved its legs slightly, reacting weakly but enough to make the doctors breathe a sigh of relief. Amelia smiled, continued to give 4 fluids and injected more painkillers, her gentle voice reassuring the wild creature. The rangers recorded its condition every hour, not missing any small changes in its body. 3 days later, the lion could lift its head, drink some water and eat a few small pieces of fresh meat. Everyone was optimistic, believing that a miracle had really happened in this rescue room. The wound gradually closed, the bleeding stopped, the fur dried, the eyes brighter, shining with new vitality. It began to roar softly, the echoing sound like a signal that recovery was approaching. Joseph smiled, gently patted Elias's shoulder. "We did it, my friend." The whole rescue team believed that the day it returned to the wild was very near. A week later, the lioness was walking around the semi-wild cage, her strong, majestic steps gradually returning. The roar echoed throughout the area, signaling the revival of a predator that had been on the brink of death. The doctors and rangers agreed that it was time to return her to the vast savanna. They prepared a sturdy iron cage, lined it with dry straw and added water to make her comfortable while moving. The lion stepped into the cage, her eyes alert but no longer desperate as before. The specialized vehicle rolled, carrying the precious creature to the remote grasslands of Kruger. The afternoon sun fell golden, the dry grass glittering in the strange light of nature. The cage door was opened, she stepped out, stood still for a few seconds, took a deep breath of freedom. She turned her head to look at Joseph, Elias and the doctors with an indescribable sparkling look. A loud, deep roar, like a thank you, echoed throughout the field. Then it rushed forward, each step strong, straight into the vast steppe of its ancestors. The figure gradually disappeared behind the yellow grass, only the rustling sound of the wind echoed in the distance. Joseph tightly held the old oar he had brought with him, as a memento to remind him of that miraculous day of salvation. Elias silently looked up at the sky, deeply feeling the noble mission of a ranger in the midst of nature. Everyone understood that they had witnessed a miracle of life, and nature had been given back a priceless gift.